Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony, which today commemorates the 72nd anniversary of the victory in Europe, Second World War. Tonight we will hear the story of Flight Sergeant Charles Adair, who lost his life over the skies of Germany. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us from the Royal Australian Navy is Warrant Officer Mark Trower. We are honoured to acknowledge Major General Syed Has At Amar Gilani, representing General Zubair Hayat, Chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee, Pakistan. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors and by students on behalf of the following schools. From New South Wales, Cherrybrook Public School. From Victoria, Viewbank Primary School. Please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Boys and girls, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and loved ones could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Flight Sergeant Charles Edward Adair, born in the Swan Hill in Victoria on the 17th of February 1920. Charles was the son of Michael and Doris Adair. He attended the local state primary and high schools, and his hobbies and sport interests included horse riding, swimming, boxing and football. After finishing his studies, he became a drover. Adair enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force in August 1940 and was a member of the Service Police. In July 1941, he applied to become aircrew and was given the opportunity to train as a wireless air gunner. However, according to the training report, understanding Morse code got the better of him. So it was recommended that he attended the bombing and gunnery school to become an air gunner. At this, he was successful. During this period of training, in January 1942, Adair married Joyce Beryl Bassett in Brisbane. A year later, he embarked for overseas service and arrived in England in March 1943. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,000 Royal Australian Air Force pilots, navigators, airless operators, gunners and engineers who joined the Australian and British squadrons in Britain throughout the course of the war. Adair undertook further specialist training before posting to number 467 Squadron, Royal Australian Air Force. As part of the Bomber Command, 467 Squadron flew 4-engine RVO Lancaster heavy bombers. On the night of the 23rd of September 1943, Lancaster DV-233, in which Adair was the rear gunner, left England on the bombing operation over Germany. Their prime target was the industrial city of Amiens in the country's southwest. The bomber was attacked by a German fighter plane and the fuselage and engine was set on fire. The pilot ordered the crew to bail out before the aircraft crashed near the Godelium railway station, about 50 kilometres north of Mannheim. 5 of the 7 crew were taken prisoner of war. The badly burned body of Adair, aged 23, was found in the tail of the aircraft. The pilot also perished, but his body was never found. Flight Sergeant Adair was buried at the local cemetery, but later reinterred in Darmbach War Cemetery in Bavaria, Germany. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among more than 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today inside the pool of reflection. He can be standing in the centre of the group. But one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant Charles Adair, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms and the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening.